Disclaimer: everything in this video is my opinion.
Hey, today I'm going to be ranking every 2024 album I listened to, all 27 of them. It takes a while for me to fully digest albums, so there's still a lot of albums I haven't listened to or that I plan on listening to in the future. But if your favorite album from the year isn't on this list, just let me know and I might give it a listen. And if you disagree with the placements of some of these albums, I don't really care. We'll be going through this by my grade for each album, with D being first, because thankfully there were no F-tier albums for me this year. And, alright, that's all. We're going to start off with... I would consider myself a fan of Kanye West's music, but this is a genuinely awful project. The songs are unfinished and mixed like garbage, and there is a literal AI verse on Sky City. Some people I know have tried to argue with me that the project is underrated and the hate is forced. But personally, the album I listen to very much deserves the hate that it gets. The only reason it didn't get an F is because I liked River and 530 a bit, and I might replay them in the future. But everything else I genuinely hate, and I hope I never have to hear this album again. My favorite song is River, like I mentioned before, and my least favorite song is Husband.
I like real ratchet bitches.
This was my first Uzi album, and I was extremely disappointed by the quality. Uzi is high on Galaxy gas throughout this entire album, and it shows. Most of the songs are half-baked and effortless. Some of his hardcore fans are trying to say, oh, he's just trying a new sound, and if you don't like it, you just don't like Uzi. So I went and listened to Love is Rage 2 to see if I just didn't like Uzi's style, and I actually did enjoy that project, so I don't think it was that. And in fact, after listening to that project, it just sounds Eternal Take Two. Not that he's like trying a new sound. It just sounds like he's trying to do the old sound and failing miserably. My favorite song is Lightyear, which I actually think is a very good song, and if the whole album was this quality, I would probably like it a lot. And my least favorite song is probably Pars in the Mars or whatever. It's trash. I mentioned that I was a fan of Kanye's music when I was talking about Vultures 2, which is why I was so disappointed when I listened to this. People when it came out were saying it wasn't that bad, but it is that bad. I think there's more good songs on this than there are on Vultures 2, which is why it's higher, but it's still bad. Oh, the hate for Vultures is so forced. Just stop. When I heard this album, I thought it was terrible, and it has not grown on me. My favorite song is Burn, which is a very good song, and my least favorite song is Hood Rat, which I don't think I need to explain. Alright, so we're moving on up to the C tier now. These were albums I thought were mid, but not bad, but I will say the quality jump from Vultures 1 to this next album is massive. This album is just too long, and some of the songs just did not need to be here. This album itself didn't even need to happen. We already got a better version earlier in the year, and spoiler alert, that's going to be a lot higher on the list. I don't really have a lot to say other than most of this just feels completely unnecessary, and I'm probably not going to listen to this again. My favorite song is Show of Hands, and my least favorite song is This Sunday. I have nothing to say about this album other than that the same problems I had with this one were the same problems I had with the last one. I thought this one was a little bit better, but not really by a significant amount. Plutoski genuinely made me laugh on my first listen, so it's not my least favorite somehow, but you know, it's my favorite is probably Lil Demon, and my least favorite, I don't even remember any of the songs, but there's a bunch I didn't like, so I'm guessing MJ is my least favorite, but I don't even remember, don't take my word for it. This was all I had in C tier, just a pair of future albums, but the B tier is a bit bigger than that. I thought this album was cool. There wasn't a whole lot that jumped out to me, but the quality was consistently pretty nice, which I liked. My favorite song is Tore Up, and my least favorite song was Brother Stone, I'm sorry. I didn't think that song was terrible, but I didn't think it met the quality of most of the rest of the album. I have a friend that really likes Sabrina Carpenter, so I thought I'd give it a shot, and here I am. Same thing as the last album. Thought it was consistently nice, but not a whole lot that jumped out to me. My favorite song was Espresso, and my least favorite was Bedchem because I think it just went a little too far for my tastes. I didn't, but maybe it's just me. Thought it was a fine album from Snoop and Dre, but it wasn't really anything special, especially considering the work they'd done in the past. Snoop was actually rapping pretty good throughout most of the album, but it just kind of blended together when I was listening to it, so I don't really remember too much. My favorite song is Skyscrapers, and my least favorite is Gangsta Pose.
All of my niggas gon' ride with it in the pocket, the rocket like Kelly Mom. Mama told me the power was in the tongue.
This might be a little bit of a hot take, but I actually thought this album was pretty good. It's a lot more inconsistent than the last albums in B tier, but I really did like some of the songs. I'm not saying this is one of the best of the year or anything, but it's fine. My favorite song is Fuel because of the JID feature was crazy, and Eminem himself was pretty good on the song, and my least favorite song is Road Rage.
I was bored by the shit, made $1 billion. Now fuck that bitch, I need trillions.
I thought it was pretty good, especially considering I'm not a huge Yeet fan, and I'm not actually a fan of this style of music in general. A lot of songs I actually really liked in this, but my main issue is that it has too many songs and it's way too long. This album could have been much better if it was like half of what we got. And even with that being said, there's still a lot of fun songs on this album, and I had an overall positive experience. My favorite song was probably Breathe, and my least favorite song was probably the title track. This is cool. I have nothing else to say. My favorite song is either Praise Him or Murdergram Duh. And my least favorite was probably Postmodern, but I'm not really sure. This felt more like a collection of different ideas Doechii was trying out more than an album, but it still pans out pretty nicely because most of the ideas are pretty good, although some of them I didn't really enjoy. Personally, I don't think this is like one of the best of the year, but I'm still very interested in seeing what she does next because some of the ideas that worked amazingly. My favorite song is Denial is a River, and my least favorite is Skip. I didn't think this was one of Cole's stronger projects, but it's still Cole, so it's mostly quality. There were a bunch of really good songs in this, but the album wasn't very consistently at that level. But I'm still waiting for the fall off. Hopefully that's like a classic, otherwise I'll be very disappointed. The best song on this album was Trade the Truth in Ibiza, and the worst song was probably Fever, although I don't really have like a worst song. Alright, so that's the end of the B tier. Now we're on to the A tier. This is a nice, calm, consistently good quality project from one of the best lyricists of all time. There's not else to say, but my biggest gripe with the project is that I feel like it just stays in its lane too much. But, you know, that's not, like, if that's the worst complaint I have, it's not, like, the end of the world. My favorite song was Till Eternity, and I don't have, like, a least favorite song, but probably the title track. I don't think this album is, like, a 10 out of 10 or anything, but I did enjoy it. Some of the songs were a little off-putting for me, so that's why it's not higher, but some of the songs were fantastic. My favorite song was Sympathy Was a Knife, definitely one of the best of the year, and my least favorite song was definitely Club Classics. I don't know if this is an unpopular opinion or anything, but I can't stand that song. It's still a good album, though. We're finally here, almost half the list away from the last one of these. This album is much better than the sequel. Most of the songs are very fun bangers. There's a few filler tracks here and there, but it's mostly quality. I'm not trying to be corny or anything, but my favorite song is actually Like That, not just because of Kendrick. I also really like the Future verse, the hook, and the beat. And my least favorite song is honestly probably Type, yeah. I thought it was a very boring song with a lazy flow from Future and that stupid Cardi deep voice that kind of sounds like an AI mocking of Future. I get some people love this voice, but I really don't like it. The Travis feature was good, though.
Nigga, go to hell, you ain't fed. The white bitch do what I said. You rap, nigga, stay on your...
It's a consistent album for sure. I didn't think this was album of the year like some people do because there's a few skips, but it's very good. My favorite song is Thank God for Me, and my least favorite song is Movie.
And I said what I said, bitch, you scared, bitch, you scared. I don't go to sleep without a
This is just a very fun album from one of the best rappers right now. This album doesn't have like the variety I think an S tier album needs, but it's still a very enjoyable listen filled with amazing bangers. My favorite song is Sked, and my least favorite song is probably Said It, although I still do like that song. This doesn't really feel like an album to me. It just feels like a collection of like sort of rambly short stories, and fortunately these stories are very captivating and fun. My only problem is that it just gets a little too unhinged at times, but you know, that's not that bad. My favorite song is Holy Holy, and my least favorite song is As If Waltz. Another quality project from Peggy. Some of this didn't really blow me away, which is why it's not an S, but it's really close. The production and vocal delivery is on point as always, and I can't wait for another album from him. My favorite song is either On or Off the Drugs, and my least favorite song is It's Dark and Hell is Hot, but it's still a good song. We're now going to move on to the S tier. These are my favorite albums of the year. As someone who's not really a fan of Logic, I was actually very pleasantly surprised when I heard this album. I thought it was a consistently amazing project, and I'm very grateful I took a chance and listened. I would definitely recommend this album to other people. My favorite song was Paul Rodriguez, and my least favorite is Interstellar, but I still love that song, so. Very good album. Every song is quality, and it's also a very cohesive project. My favorite song was hard to decide, but I'm gonna go with I Wish I Was Joking. It's a very beautiful song, and I don't have a least favorite song. The only reason this isn't higher is because I don't think the highs were high enough to put it above the other albums, but it's very good. I thought this was an amazing album. It's a relatively short album where I love every single song here. My favorite song is The Love of My Life, and my least favorite song is honestly probably Birds of a Feather. I obviously like the song, I just said I loved every song in the album, but I don't see how it's so popular considering the rest of the album is much better, but yeah. If it was up to me, I wouldn't give it nobody's no sympathy. I've seen a ton of random people online being like, oh, this album is just full of Not Like Us clones. But they clearly didn't actually listen to the album because the only song that really sounds like Not Like Us was TV Off, which had the same producer. But all that aside, as a Kendrick fan, I was very happy when he dropped out of the blue, and he did not disappoint. Every song is quality except the title track, but I think that song is kind of fun. And yeah, this is a highlight of the year for me. My favorite song is Heart Part 6, and my least favorite song is the title track, like I said before. Very solid listen. A short album that gets to the point, which I like a lot, with no bad songs or filler. The only reason this isn't number 1 or 2 is because the album's just a little too low-key for me. I mean, obviously it's quality. It's at number 3 on my list, but it would be cool if there was a little more energy. I'm not complaining, though. This album is really good. My favorite song has been changing a lot, but right now I'd probably say Radio, and I don't have a least favorite song. When the Saint Chroma snippet dropped, I was very excited because I love this guy's music, and he did not disappoint with the album rollout or the actual album. I'm working on a more in-depth review of this, so I won't go into too much detail, but this was an amazing album, and honestly was very close to being number 1. My least favorite was probably Judge Judy. I know it's Tyler's favorite, but the song is just a little too awkward for me. I like it in the context of the album, and I don't skip it, but I don't replay it on its own. And every other song is like peak, so I'm not disappointed with this album at all. My favorite could be anything. It changes more than my favorite on Dark Times does, honestly, but right now it's probably Take Your Mask Off, but that could change like in a minute. And finally, for my number 1 of the year. I'm kidding. I haven't heard that album yet, and I honestly don't really want to, but I might to just get a stronger opinion on it. Wish me luck on that. I might need it. But for the actual number 1, My number one of the year, Imaginal Disc. This album is so good. Every song flows together perfectly. Every song except like the skits has insane replay value, and the songs themselves are just amazing. Very glad this was recommended to me by a friend because I almost didn't hear this before I wrote the script. I had to delay writing it a few days because I wanted the album to sink in, but yeah, it's here now, and I definitely made the right choice. I can't praise this album enough. This is definitely my favorite of the year. My favorite on the album is probably the Ballad of Matt and Mika. I really thought it was a very good ending, and I don't have a least favorite. So anyways, thank you so much for watching, and yeah, it would be great if you could subscribe or whatever, because I try to put a little more effort into this video than the other ones, and I'll probably try to upload more now, but you know, I can't promise. But yeah, I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.